Okay, so yesterday I was on my way to pick up my son from practice when all of a sudden my car just stopped dead in the middle of the road. Now, to give you some context, we have been having alternator issues, but it hasn't really been anything that serious, right? So it's been something that we have already set up an appointment to get taken care of. Just got a new battery, and since the alternator is kind of going bad, but still not really bad, I felt like we had some time. However, being the responsible man that I am, I still was, making certain that we only moved the vehicle when we had to, in case of an emergency. I made sure my son understood that, there are some issues going on, with our vehicle. So only call if it's, for us to pick you up if, you know, you 100% need us. Like there's literally no teacher, no friends, no one that can bring you home. And being the responsible young man that my son is, he definitely made certain there was literally no one else, right? And once again, the car has been having some minor issues, but nothing major. So I felt like it was a calculated risk, especially with my son needing me to be there for him. He's already been dealing with some tumultuous issues due to the things that his mom and I have been going through, trials and tribulations. Not personally. I love my queen, none of that. We work everything out. But just a lot of trials and issues that men and women of God who have honestly given their heart over to God will go through. We have to remember that this impacts our children as well. So I wanted to make sure that the young man could at least have that time to himself after school. And again, I feel like there was no real harm or danger because the car was cranking up and running with no problem. We were just having minor electrical issues. But on this day, the car literally stopped in the middle of a busy intersection, right? And it was just not any intersection. It was an intersection where people are turning one way, coming one way, coming past me the other way. So it is an extremely busy intersection, right? By God's grace, it just stopped. The power literally just went off, while I was in the middle of this intersection. And I'm very grateful that it happened before my son was able to get in the car with me. Because although by Dad's grace, the situation was handled appropriately, I know for a young person in the middle of a situation like that, it can be kind of detrimental to their perspective, because they don't have some of the experiences that we have learned in life that gets us to understand that although it was a dangerous situation, it was handled appropriately, so everything's good. But now that we've got all the pretense out the way, on to the testimony. So I'm sitting here in the middle of the road, and this is for those of you who are stuck in a situation in life and you want to move, right? But it just seems like no matter what you do, you get that it is out of your hands. There's nothing you can do in this moment to get you to move to where you want to be. You have someone waiting on you. In my case, my son was up at the school, waiting on his father to come and pick him up. And he know if Dad give his word, Dad will move earth and hell to get to him and make sure he's taken care of, right? I have my wife who is waiting on me to pick up our child and do it safely you know what I mean, and get back safely. Again, she also understands that her husband is going to do what he has to do, even if it means risking his life to make sure that his family is taken care of. This is something that by God's grace is expected of me, as it should be with any man, especially a man of God. But here I was, stuck. I had people going all around me, and this is the crazy thing. I did not realize society has literally gotten to this point. I can understand people going around you. You don't know what they have to do. I've been in this situation before where the only thing I could do is offer a prayer to someone because, I had an emergency situation myself going on, so I couldn't stop and help them, right? Sometimes it's not safe to stop and help someone because of the direction of traffic that you are in at that moment. So my issue was not that. My issue was the people honking and literally saying, move. And that's when Dad gave me that word, move. When you're stuck, but people are judging you erroneously as if you are choosing to be in that situation at that specific moment. I'm talking about all around, horns honking, people moving all around me. It just was a frenzy, right? And I understand me being an inconvenience, but what people was not realizing is they were judging a situation which should have been obvious that this person does not want to be in this situation. So if I can't help them, what I can at least do with common courtesy and human decency is leave them alone. And if I got a great heart, I can even say a prayer for them. But to go ahead and wrap this up, as I was sitting in the midst of all this, and it was approaching 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is my prayer time. Called my son, called my wife, let them know what was going on. And my wife, being the beautiful queen that she is, she got a tow truck on the way for me. And I told my son just to stay put because I didn't want him. I was in eyesight of the school. While I was turning, the school was literally down the road. So I could have told him to come meet me. But again, I did not want my son to be sitting in the middle of that frenzy with me, okay? We have to understand if certain things are even remotely frightening for us, imagine how that's going to impact the children. No matter how strong-minded or strong-willed they are, they're still inexperienced and growing in their character. So I told them to stay put. Prayer time was approaching, and after I knew the tow truck was on the way, I tried to turn on the hazards, but of course, the entire electrical system is shot, so the hazards won't come on. So letting people know as best I could to go around, let them know, I'm actually working on the situation now. I'm trying to get it handled. I could not get out and push the vehicle because once again, I have people flying all around me from several different areas. Trust me, being an introvert, I did not like being the center of attention, especially the center of so much aggressive attention. So I sat there and I told the Lord in that moment, there's literally nothing I can do. I want to move, but I can't. These people are judging me. They're not understanding that I'm not still in this position because I want to be, but because I have to be. And I prayed to him and I reached out to him. I still prayed that prayer at 6 p.m. I asked him to show up for me like I knew that he would. And guys, no lie, literally like in the movies, someone knocked on my window and asked to help me. And they used their vehicle to block the back. And then we got the vehicle out of the road. It's something that I wasn't thinking about that this gentleman did. We were next to some cones, that where they were doing road work. We simply moved the cones, moved the vehicle right off the road. He jumped me off. I didn't know if that was going to work, but it did. And by Dad's grace, the prayer that I prayed, I was able to show up for my son and show up for my wife, but only when God showed up. Remember that and be blessed.